everybody, it's me Vic. Today I wanted to talk about Wavelink 3.0's beta, Stream Deck, the plugin for it anyways, the Wavelink 3.0 beta's plugin for Stream Deck, and then I am using Stream Deck 7.1, however I'm really just using it for functionality. I haven't really encountered too many buggy issues to report anything yet. More so it's just like a simple restart and everything works for me. I know they say you shouldn't use betas when you're doing live production stuff, and I can attest to that, just don't, but I like to be the early adopter and test everything out. Just more so I can familiarize myself with the navigation and stuff before everything is rolled out. So if you're feeling brave enough to try a beta, definitely jump into it. So let's get started here. Alright, so first things first, for those who are going to be using the beta, you're going to want to come to elgato.com, go to their downloads, and then tab over to the beta. There's actually 2 betas running for Wavelink 3.0 beta on macOS, as well as Stream Deck 7.1 on macOS. I can say that the plugin is not available on macOS yet for the Wavelink 3.0 beta. So if you're wanting to use your Stream Decks with Macs right now, for the Wavelink 3.0, it's just not possible yet, but they are working on it. They even say that in the release notes when you do the update. The updates are important. I always tell people or advise people, don't close out the install update screen until you read everything through before you hit install, because there's probably a plugin that you can download from there. But luckily they did provide it on the beta website, so that's a win, right? At least you have access to it. Not for Mac OS right now, like I said, they're currently working on it, but Windows, on the other hand, they do have the Wavelink plugin for Stream Deck. So if you're on Windows, you're using Wavelink 3.0 beta, you have a Stream Deck, and you're using Stream Deck on 7.0? Or if you're using the beta like me, brave enough to do it, 7.1, you can use the plugin with the 7.1. So download, install. The last thing you're going to want to do is click on the plugin and install the plugin. You just double click it and automatically installs on your Stream Deck software. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into Wavelink. Now, the reason why you're seeing this on the main screen condensed is because I'm actually doing vertical format as well, so that way I can put it in 2 different areas. Anyway, I have configured, if you see here, my mixes. Everything is down to 2 mixes for myself. Some people have the need for more than 2. I started understanding why some people wanted more than 5, because I myself, at a very small moment, realized I could probably do so much more with this. And I wanted to push some things beyond the limits, and I tried, but 5 is, at least for me, with recording as well as with gaming, live streaming, I only need 2 submixes. I only need 2. But there are other people, some people who really enjoy using Elgato software as well as their hardware, where I can see that depending on what kind of production they're doing and different mixes that they need, that they might need more than 5. I can see that. I totally understand now. I don't know if that'll be a thing, but you can always send a feature request over to their company and Elgato will definitely take your feedback. I don't know if they'll implement it because they have their own roadmaps, but the more that you provide feedback to them, the more they might reconsider certain things to implement. So just keep that in mind. They have a huge Reddit forum, so if you are working on the beta or using the beta, definitely report all of the things that you're coming across over in their Reddit. Anyway, let's get started here. So the main mix, right? This is all of the channels that I have set up. Now, I did cover setting up Wavelink 3.0 in another video, so I'm not going to go into super depth about what I'm doing here, but essentially, there's my microphone. I could add my capture card, but I actually have everything going through here as my system default. If I wanted to do my capture card through Wavelink 3.0, I could. However, I have that set up directly through OBS, so I don't really need to add it through here. It would be cool if I could add it to the game channel though, right? That would be cool, because then that would eliminate me from having to actually route it directly through OBS, and I prefer to do that with OBS because I have another video that's been floating about for about 1.5 years, maybe 2, showing you why I separate my audio the way that I do in OBS, and that includes the capture card audio. So I don't include it here, but it is directly in OBS. I also use Meld Studio. I like using Meld Studio because of the way the UI is. It's super simple to set up and just start streaming. I would recommend for first timers, definitely look at Meld Studio. If you're feeling brave enough to try something and you're wanting to learn things, try different plugins, then OBS might be for you. So just keep that in mind as well. Those are the two that I use. All right, and as far as for my Mac/dual PC mix, right, you only see the microphone and the game being routed. So all of my PC games, my system default is actually game. I have over 160 plus PC games. So if I am gonna play a PC game and I'm gonna push my GPU to the max, I am going to record it and stream it directly through my Mac Mini, which is an M4 Mac Mini, right? So it came out 2024. It's a beautiful little piece of machinery. I know a lot of people are kind of about it, but it's unified memory. So remember, like, it's not just 32 gigabytes of RAM like it would be in a regular traditional PC. Intel Macs, it's different, right? Because you have an Intel processor. Well, this is a silicon chip. So silicon is working with the CPU, GPU, and RAM. So that's all shared along with the storage that's on the inside. If you're getting the base model or you're getting something with very minimal, storage, buy an external drive, connect it, put all of your stuff on the external drive, save everything on the external drive, and then just use the system for just the system stuff. And you shouldn't bog it down too much, right? Now, that's just Mac talk, y'all. I'm not making a Mac video. It's just talking about what I do and why this is set up this way. So I have my 4KX, right, which is my capture card. So as I'm streaming my PC to my Mac, all of the audio is going directly here. So I don't even need to go into sound settings, for example, right? I don't need to go in here and then go to more and then go to recording and then set it up to the NVIDIA output to go to the capture card and all that stuff. I don't have to do that anymore. I can literally just come here, create the mix, tell the mix, I want you to go to my capture card. So my Mac Mini had to be on. The capture card had to be powered by the Mac Mini in order for it to add it here like a speaker, and all audio routes through there. So if you look at my main, right, I currently have it on my headset so that way any noise doesn't come through my speakers. So this is my speakers and this is my headset, right? So if I wanted it to go to my speakers, I could unmute this. I don't have any headphones on right now, so like it's falling on deaf ears right now. But that's pretty much it. I see the functionality of this, but honestly, I haven't really had a need to, when I launch it, to do anything up here because all of the mixes are really what I want to listen to, right? So I really only want to listen to this one. This one I don't need to listen to, but I do have my XLR mic going from my gaming PC directly to my streaming Mac Mini. So I only use the one mic now. I don't have to have a separate mic anymore because I can literally transfer the audio from my gaming PC to my Mac, which is the streaming PC. When I'm doing PC gaming or recording, it depends on the game though, because like if I'm doing ultra wide, I'm actually just using the gaming PC. But other than that, it's a pretty simple setup for me, right? Everybody else is different. Like if I wanted to be extensive and do things, like if I was making more video content like I'm doing right now, I could see the need for me making a third one just for recording only. But honestly, I just need a personal mix so I can hear everything that I want to hear when I'm like either streaming or whatever. But have you noticed, I control the audio here, right? I don't do anything here. I just control my mix because I don't want to change anything here, especially if I have it already set up in OBS. I don't want to change it here and then OBS has it super low. I tried that, it did not work. So really I'm just wanting to change what I hear. I don't want to change anything over here either, although I do have the game lower because the microphone is important to hear. The game, if I'm live streaming, not so much. Now if I'm doing a recording, I blast it all the way up and I turn off the microphone, which is why the mic is mute right now. But that's it. That's the only setup that I need in Wavelink 3.0, and it's so simple, right? Now, we're gonna look at Stream Deck because we have the, I was testing something before I did the video. Yeah, so if you can see here, there's Wavelink 3 right? I uninstalled the other Wavelink plugin because I'm not using Wavelink 1.0 or 2.0. In order for you to install Wavelink 3.0, you have to uninstall 1.0 or 2.0 or both if you're running both. I don't think that's possible. Like one updates the other, so you have to uninstall it because it's entirely different. Wavelink 3.0 beta is built up from the ground. It's an entirely new infrastructure that Elgato built, right? So that's kind of why you see two plugins if you saw them earlier on your sidebar there. So you can just come here, right click, and then uninstall. Not Wavelink 3.0, but the previous one if you've already moved everything over to the beta. I did that because I'm using it for live production. I haven't run into too many hiccups, but if I do come across something, I usually report it. They have a huge Reddit forum, so report any issues for the beta directly to the Reddit forum. All right, so wave control. We're gonna start looking at the buttons here from the plugin, right? So you can control your gain, you can control your output volume, and your PC and mic mix. You can mute it, you can set it, you can adjust it. I'm never gonna change this because I've already configured my microphone the way that I want. And if you saw my previous video, right here, you can do the start setup tour and it'll help you start configuring all that stuff for you in Wavelink 3.0. So I don't need to control any of that, like at all, right? And then let's go back to Stream Deck. Now I'm showing you each individual button and then we're gonna talk about the dials because the dials have limited here, but they still serve quite a few functions. There's gain lock. You do this, it locks your gain. It's that simple, you don't need to worry about it. Let's go to audio effect. So audio effect, if you're using VSTs, comes in extremely handy. There's one, and I'm not talking about voice mod, okay? I already did a video on voice mod, go check it out, you'll be fine. This is not gonna apply to voice mod. This is specific VSTs that you're using directly with Wavelink 3.0. And there's different VSTs for different needs. Some people use compressors, some people use limiters, some people are using voice changers, and I'm not talking about voice mod voice changers, but there's different reverb tools, there's a lot of different things out there. I think one of the ones that I tried was making my voice go from like here to super high pitch, and it gave it like a weird wobbly sound. I don't know what it's called, but those are the kinds of VSTs that I'm talking about to do an audio effect, right? Even voice focus, you can turn it on and off. So you can, even with Wave mic, for example, the Wave XLR, the Wave 1, the Wave 3, you can actually go to your effect and turn on low cut filter, turn it off. Same thing with the voice focus, clip guard. So whatever VSTs that you have as your audio effects, you can turn them on and off like a toggle, which I think is really cool. Am I gonna need it? No, because I have my microphone configured the way that I want. So I won't have any use for it, but maybe you might. All right, so the next one is channel level. Channel level is probably my favorite one to use on a dial, but we'll talk about that later. All right, and I'm gonna use my Mac and PC, dual PC mix to show you channel, the channel level on the dials because I don't want to change anything on my actual overall hearing right now because I have it where I want it. All right, so you can come down here to any of your channels or even the foreground app. Like if you're literally just working in something and that's the one that you want to control without having to look, you can just set one dial and it'll control whatever is your foreground app, which is pretty cool. I don't have a use for that though, but I like the function of it because there are people out there who are just like, I just want one button to do everything. And as they're inside of the app or whatever that they're working on, they just turn the dial. That's it. At least for me, right? Or you could push the button and you could change it between your mixes here. If your mix doesn't show up here, close out Wavelink, close out Stream Deck, start with Wavelink and then open Stream Deck. And then it should see them. The other trick you could try is moving these in different orders. So, drag and drop. There we go. And you could do that, right? And sometimes doing that is enough for it to be seen. Oh, it didn't do the thing. Hold on. There we go. You see how it's switching it? You can do that, and that might help it see it too. So just keep that in mind, like if it's not showing up there. For me, it was the restarting. Oh, it's gonna be difficult. There we go. You just have to get creative with things and move them around. But yeah, that worked for me. Maybe it works for you. If not, closing it out and then restarting it in Wavelink and then Stream Deck order, it'll work for you. At least it should. If you still run into the issue where it's not seeing your mixes at all, go to the Reddit forum and let them know so they can look into it. It is buggy. Remember, it is a beta. It's not a final product yet. So, go and keep them posted because they'd like to hear feedback from you. All right. So, I could choose my main and tell it, I want you to mute it. Or, maybe I want it to just mute my chat, right? Like my buddies are talking, I'm just like, I want to mute them. I could do that. I don't want to do that to my friends, but that's because I have some really awesome friends, and usually the chats are pretty fun, especially on a game night when we all get together and actually have fun. The last game that we played was an awesome putt-putt golf game. It's what is it, golfing with friends? It's really fun. Yeah. Anyway, you could change it to anything that you have in your mixes here. So whatever is here, and you tell it whatever mix you're using that you want to control it here. Set it, adjust it, etc. The reason why I prefer this one with the dials is because I have more control of turning it, and it'll move the slider for me, as opposed to me telling it, I want you to set it to 60 or 50%, right? I was going to say another number, and I realized, oh, that's probably not right. But you can change it to whatever you want to set right here and tell it, I want you to be this volume. I am hoping that they change the volume to decibel though, because I think that that's more important, because when you realize how loud something is decibel wise, you're like, oh, I need to lower that, or oh, I need to increase that. A percentage is great. I like the percentage, but I'd like the option to see both. That way I can gauge, okay, the volume is at this percentage, but it's actually this decibel. So that's something I'm hoping for. And you can even adjust it if you need to, right? You can do static, you can do faders, right? You can do vertical. You can do the level meters, which I think is really cool. I might change it because I have a setup to where I actually have physical buttons, but I can't show y'all because it's on another screen, and it's just, yeah, I don't have that in the video, but you can do it. So, let's see, I could maybe have music running in the background, and we'll change it to music. So let's do that. Let's go with music. I'm gonna copy this again, paste it here, and I'm gonna change it to, let's see, this one was by 10. I know everybody's different, right? You can do that by 1. I'm going to do it by -1 now. So there's my music channel. I am going to play some music, and as you can see the little slider going up and down there, and I'm going to just use my Stream Deck here, and then it's telling you where the level is. Pretty cool, huh? I thought y'all would like that. That's actually one of my favorite things to do. Look at it. Look at the level going up and down. So I'm going to stop the music now. So I really do like channel level for that reason, because I can actually finally control my individual audio. And I am going to do this here and show you the little slider moving. Can y'all see it? Here, look. I'm going to highlight where music is. And it's telling you where the slider is moving, right? Pretty cool. And that's just with the function we just created in Stream Deck. Now, I'm not going to use it here because I prefer to use the dials. And that's what we're going to talk about in just a moment. But you can also add a channel, right? You can tell it, I want to go here and add it. I don't need to add anything to the channels because I've already configured it to Wavelink, which I think is very beneficial for those who want to do audio routing. But I've already set mine up, so I have no use for that function, but you might. And then there's going to be channel audio effect, right? So for example, my chat, I could tell it, I want you to use voice focus VST, which by the way is a VST now. It's not just with the microphones. It is going to be on the marketplace. Let's look at it. Voice focus. Here we go. So it's $49.99. You can change it between Windows or Mac OS. It's the same cost. Oh wait, you know what? I forget. It's so small when I do that y'all, for the ones who are looking at vertical format, I'm sorry. I totally forgot I had to resize it. All right, so there's the Mac and the Windows, and then, you know, again, for the downloads for earlier, you can download here and here, so that way the people in the vertical format content can see it. All right, so yeah, you can turn a VST on or off per the channel. And really, I only have it on my chat because, like, you know, somebody's eating on Discord or something. I'm like, I don't want to hear crunchy chips. Although I get it, like, I totally eat too, but I hit mute. But, you know, sometimes life gets the better of people and they're just like, that's their moment to unwind. And so, you know, if my buddy's snacking, and I don't mind, like, some people have some of those, like, hang-ups, right? But, like, if you're doing content where maybe you're doing party chats or something like that. For example, Dead by Daylight is a really popular game that people do party chats with. Well, some people might be doing certain sessions. Who knows how long those things go, you know, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or whatever, right? And they're hungry or snacking, right? Like, you can't get mad at somebody for doing that, but voice focus helps eliminates the crunchy chip sound. So, you know, you might probably want to look at that VST, especially for your chat. It comes in very handy. Alrighty, the next one is going to be the mix level. So mix level is another one that I use. You can set it, and I have my mix level set to whatever I want to hear it, because I want it to be technically at 100%, and then just lower the individual channels that I have in it. So I won't be using this, right, at all. I don't need to, but I can mute. And that comes in extremely handy. Like, if I have to listen for something like the dog barking or whatever's going on, I'm gonna mute that real quick and be like, oh, that's what's going on. Or like if there's a thunderstorm, for example, right? I'm gonna hit mute real quick. Oh, that's lightning. I should probably end my stream or something. Yeah. This is where that comes in handy, and I actually do have this as a function here. So I don't need this right now because I have my stream deck set up an entirely different layout. And then there's output control, right? So I can tell it for my output, like my headphones, my speakers, and my speakers, I tell it, I want you to be at 60%, right? So I would hit the button and it would put my speakers at 60%. I do the same thing with my headset, by the way. And the reason why I put it at 60% is because I don't need them blasting 100%. I don't. But I can tell it, I want my headset to also be at 60%. So like if my headset seems like I don't know what the percentage is for the audio level from the device itself, I'm going to tell it, I want it to be at 60%. So that comes in handy. I have that set up differently though. So that's going to be the buttons in a nutshell. Now we're going to go ahead and click on the dials. So if you notice, we have wave control, channel level, mix level, and output control. But the dials make using this way easier, right? So let's go ahead and look at the wave control. Wave control is going to control your wave device, which makes sense, right? And if you don't have a wave device, you probably won't have a need for this. But I can control my gain, output, and PC mix, which is the first button I showed you, right? So this is why, you know, I personally don't need it, but maybe you might, right? All right, so mic effects, right? You can actually tell it for whatever, and this one was the channel level. This is what I prefer to use. I'm gonna use channel level, and I'm gonna say, let's go to my game. And I like to do it by 1% on the dial. Some people like to do 5, some people like to do 2, 3, you know, whatever works for you. You can set this range to whatever it is, and it's gonna move the slider in that increment. So for me, I'm gonna choose 1. Now, do I like to see the level meter and the volume slider? Yes, I would prefer to see both. So let's go ahead and we're gonna use game here. And let's go ahead and pull up our Wavelink real quick. Oh, wait. Let me make sure I have the mix selected. I didn't choose my mix. So this is again where you come here and you choose your mix, right? I'm gonna choose main because why not? So now I'm gonna turn the dial and you're gonna see the game, which is right here where my mouse is. You're gonna see it slide. And for me, I find that to be a lot easier on the dials than the button. although the button is fancy looking, right? And I think that's cool because it's what I have on my virtual stream deck. I prefer the dials to move this. All right. Now, this one is going to be the mix level. And so you can choose between your mix how loud you want it to be. So in this case, I'm going to use the PC one, right? I'm going to tell it to do it by 1. And then what we're going to do, because this is the only way that I can show you, it's going to move your slider here, your overall mix. And I could tell it I want my mix to be this loud or whatever. So like maybe you have your channels in your mix set up where you want them level wise, but then you really just want to control the overall audio as opposed to the individual channels. For me, it doesn't work that way. I prefer to control the individual channels in my mix as opposed to the overall mix. So everyone's different. You might have different needs than I do. So, just keep that in mind. It is something you can control, but I'm not going to be using that one. All right, the last one is going to be output control. So as we were talking about it before, it's going to be the same thing as the button, right? You can choose whichever device, right? So let's just say that I want it to be by 1. My speakers are mute, but I don't know if there's a real way. Maybe, yeah, maybe. Okay, so if you look, right, it's controlling my individual. So I'm telling it, I want you to be at 60%, which it should have been at 60%, but it's perfect for the video. And so there you go. Now we have it at 60%. I'm pretty sure it's at 60%. But that's how you're going to be able to control your independent devices that you're listening through, whether it's your headphones or your speakers. And then if you want to get really creative, right? So let's go ahead and pull up Stream Deck again. If you're feeling really creative, we're going to go to, where is it? It's a multi-action switch is what I prefer. So let's go back to Wavelink, right? We're going to go to mix level, and I'm telling it to set, right? Because I prefer to have mine at 100. Now I could mute it. I don't need to, right? But I am telling it that I want it to look at the main one. And then we're going to go to output control. We're going to toggle. We're going to unmute our headset, and then we're going to mute our speakers. All right, and then we're just going to do the exact opposite of it, except for the mix level. And the reason why I'm telling it mix level is because I want it to go to that channel. I don't know why, or that mix, I should say. I don't know why it doesn't let me select it, but if I do this, it'll stay in that mix. If I choose the other mix and do it with, for example, my Mac, it'll do the same thing. So we're just going to tell it set, and then we're going to do the output control. And this time our speakers, we're going to tell it to mute. Wait, we're going to tell it to unmute, and then we need to do the headset in between. And then we need to tell it to mute. All right, let me make sure. Headset mute, unmuted, muted, muted, and this one should be unmuted, and this should be the speakers. All right, cool. All right, so this little button right here, right? If we come here and we look, we're going to be able to see that we can toggle between devices. You don't really need to do this. If your mix is already automatic, you don't need to have that particular third item, the one on the top that I created, which is right here. But the reason why I do that is so that way it knows that's the mix that I want to listen to. I don't know how to get it to just toggle between different mixes, but it does let you change the mix levels and stuff. So what I've noticed is when I do that, I'm able to do it for that particular mix, and it'll let me hear it. I don't really need to do it for the Mac one though, because like I said, all audio is really going to the capture card, and I prefer it to do that instead of muting and unmuting it, because I'm never going to route that to anything else. Anyways, that's pretty much the plugin in a nutshell, and thank you for watching.